before we get started, I want to ask for a round of applause for the Y-Pass Jazz Band that's back there in the corner that's been performing for We're going to get a chance to hear from the men's choir here in just a minute, but before we do, I just want to take the opportunity to welcome everybody, acknowledge that this is going to be a really exciting and fun evening where we get the opportunity to recognize some of the great teachers and leaders within our Jefferson County Public Schools.
For my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home, far away.
You know, we are very fortunate to live in a community where so many people care and where support for our schools continues to grow. In fact, I would know that we all agree that it's going to take an entire community pulling together to realize the potential of our school system and to recognize Donna Hargan's goals to have the best urban school district in the country, but we're well on our way. So in other words, we're all in this together, which is why this event is great for us to host. We are also very fortunate to have Dr. Hargan's leadership and the leadership of Mayor Greg Fisher, who is incredibly passionate about education and has set the tone for community engagement. You'll get a chance to hear from both of them in just a few minutes. As we kicked off this program 3 years ago, it was gratifying to see so many community leaders and prominent organizations jump on board, and I want to recognize those entities right up front, to include Audwin and Ray Helton, Bellarmine University, Ernst & Young, now known as EY, Fund for the Arts, Jefferson County Community and Technical College, Junior Achievement, the Kentucky Science Center, Metro United Way, the University of Louisville, the YMCA, and then the student-nominated awards from Carbide, Lubrizol, and Xeon. So how about a round of applause for those organizations? We can't thank you enough, and your involvement has truly enriched this program. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mayor Greg Fisher. As mayor, Greg has made education a priority. His unwavering leadership and support is very apparent, and his fingerprints are on a whole host of programs and initiatives that are taking our community down a path that will help lead to favorable outcomes for our schools, our students, and the economic vitality of our community as we have an educated workforce that can meet the growing demands of the marketplace. So it's my pleasure now to turn the podium over to Mayor Greg Fisher. Thank you for being here with us.
Well, good evening, everybody. You're looking good, and it's really a great feeling to see this event grow every year. Third year, Hilliard Lyons has really stepped up, Jim Allen and the whole team, to organize this, and it is gratifying to see more and more of the community here come and support our teachers that really guide our community in so many different ways. It is tough to be a teacher, and not a lot of people recognize that. I was sitting somewhere the other day, we were talking about a project, and they said, and we need to train those teachers to do that too. I said, hold on a minute. I want to take up for these teachers. Have you ever tried to teach a classroom of 25 to 35 kids? No, I haven't done that. Have you ever been at a school that has to take everybody in, Jefferson County Public Schools? Okay, not just the cream of the crop, so to speak, from an educational standpoint. Well, no, I haven't done that. And I suggested that they keep their criticism to themselves until they really understand how tough it is. And I think, you know, to their credit, they said, well, that's right, I've never really have had that experience before, but it's easy to be a critic from the couch. And as mayor, what I encourage people to voice their opinion, but I assume that means they want to help at the same time. And the role that the city has taken with JCPS, because as you all know, you have your own Board of Education that runs the show, and the mayor's office has no direct control over JCPS. So we've said the mayor's office should be the conscience conscience for the community as it relates to education. Each and every one of our kids should have a shot at a world-class education. And if that's not taking place, then the question is, how can we help? Right? Not just complain about the problem, but how can we help with out-of-school time? How can we help with innovation? So that's why you hear me talking about education all the time. And we want our city, we want JCPS to be a magnet for talent in our community, for folks that both live here and want to move here. And say, one of the reasons I'm moving to Louisville is because I want my child to be in Jefferson County Public Schools. And as they look at the achievement that's taking place in JCPS, let's just take the last 4 or 5 years as an example, it's hard not for people to reach that conclusion that there are lots of many good things going on at JCPS. I'm not going to, you all know the numbers better than me. The trend lines are all positive, engagement's positive, community engagement is positive at the same time. So JCPS is increasingly becoming an asset when we sell our city. That's the most valuable thing that JCPS can do, because then the whole city grows, which means opportunity for all of our kids and all of our grandkids. I see many principals here tonight and some administration as well. So I know we've thanked the board, we thank teachers. I don't want to forget all the folks that are in the middle as well, that is when I go through the schools, they're enabling so many of the activities that go in the classroom. And as Superintendent Hargens reminds us, the classroom is the center of the universe. So we appreciate everybody that supports that. You all are doing a very nice job in making our kids more college and career ready. And it's showing up now in the results that we have with our 55,000 degree initiative. Last year our numbers came out, we have 41.2% of the adults in the community now with a 2 or 4 year degree. The national average is 39%. Our goal is 50% by the year 2020, so we're on the way. We can't get there if our JCPS graduates are not ready, obviously, for college. So thank you for helping us in that role. As the city, we think our role is not just to be a critical friend and not just be a cheerleader, but also put the context around this broad system of lifelong learning in ways that our entire city understands. So this year, we've done that by announcing and introducing our Cradle to Career initiative that takes a look at this continuum of learning that frankly starts before a child is born. So we have the early care and pre-K pillar, the K-12 pillar, 55,000 degree pillar, and then 21st century careers after that. Everybody is at some place on that continuum, and the constant is lifelong learning. Only way that we can be successful as it relates to global competitiveness. And it's been very gratifying to see the many different ways that many different groups and people are plugging into the Cradle to Career system and saying, how can we help? What are the linkages? How does summer works, for instance? How can that contribute to greater lifelong learning? So I really feel good about our momentum in that area. Out of school time is another area where we want to receive your all's feedback on whether or not the programs that we're offering out of school time are meeting your all's objectives. Are the Kentucky Science Center's programs up to the quality that you all need and are aligned with the learning that's going on in your classroom? Are the activities that we have at the library, are they doing a good job? As a city, last summer, we stepped up with a new concept that came out of our Vision Louisville process, and that was the cultural pass for the community. And the concept was that a lot of kids have, as you all know, a real summer melt with their knowledge over the summer because they quit reading or they quit thinking that they need to learn anything. But many of our kids are challenged. They don't have the resources of advantaged families, so the kids aren't flying off to some vacation or having this type of enrichment activity. So the concept was, what if we could create a cultural pass where kids could go to our art museums, they could go to our science centers, they could go to any place that they could be enriched. So we pulled that together pretty much at the last minute with a lot of great philanthropy and really our community institutions like the zoo, science center, art museums, et cetera, saying we're happy to participate. Last year, we had over 50,000 students participate in the Cultural Pass program. It led to some great metrics in terms of improvement, especially at the library. So I hope that you all felt when the kids were coming back, they had some new experiences. Kids especially that don't have as many advantages, we hear about the education gap, but we are just as interested in the experiential gap, so that when a child goes to a science center and sees something that they've never seen before, piques their curiosity, and that takes them off on a new pathway of learning. And we don't want a $10 admission fee to be that barrier during the summertime for their learning. So I'll let you in on a little secret as long as you don't tell anybody. We'll be announcing the priorities for the next year's fiscal year budget next Thursday, July 28th. So we put together a consortium of the Gaines Foundation and Louisville Metro to where we'll be funding the Cultural Pass again for this summer, and it will be available starting the day after school is out in all of our public libraries. So we'll get that word out to JCPS, but please encourage your students to go and get a Cultural Pass for their families so they can take advantage of that again this year. We had a great visit about a month ago from U.S. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan. He came here because of many of the dynamic activities, frankly, that are going on in Kentucky and Jefferson County Public Schools as well. He really helped put the nation's eyes on what we've been doing in terms of turnarounds at some of our most challenged schools, early childhood, career pathways, and he specifically took time to have a private conversation with multiple groups of educators around the communities. And I was really proud of the attention that his visit drew to the community. I've worked with Secretary Duncan now on 5 different occasions, and he's a sharp enough guy that when he comes back, he refers back to his previous visits, or when we talk together in Washington, D.C., and says, it's impressive the progress you're making here, here, and here. So he gets it. He had an unbelievable experience at Fern Creek High School. That was our first stop when he was in Brent Peters. I don't know if Brent is here or not, but if any of you all know him, you should let him know. He drew national attention from Secretary Duncan on the project-based learning that he had going on in his classroom around food literacy. And many of you all are all outstanding teachers, and you know what it's like when that magic takes place in a classroom where it's almost like there's this kinetic connection between the teachers and the students, and everybody's in the flow, and they're learning together at the same time, anticipating what questions they're going to be having, and they're ready to go. That's what we experienced and witnessed while he was in front of the Secretary of Education, which was even more important. So it's those type of activities that we see more and more from you all every day in JCPS, and you're really to be commended on that. It's not just noticed in the classroom or in our city, it's being noticed at the national level as well. And last point, I want to thank you all also for continuing to innovate in the classroom and in the community to meet even a variety of needs, broader needs that many of our students have. So I'm very excited about the potential that the Compassionate Schools Project is going to be bringing to Louisville. So this is a relatively new project. We have a pilot taking place in 3 schools. So it's going to be focused on elementary schools, K-5. And what the project integrates the curriculum with what your normal curriculum is, so it's not an additional opportunity or it takes up time, but it's integrating the concepts for our youngest students, K-5, of social and emotional coping skills. Of course, we see sometimes, in worst case, the fallout from kids not being able to cope on the streets in terms of violence. But so teaching social and emotional coping skills, nutrition, and physical fitness so that they can take care of their bodies, and then mindfulness practices so they can calm their minds and open them to learning. Because as many of you all know more than me, when you ask an elementary school principal what they'd like to have more of, we need more help with mental health counseling in schools. And so we see some of our youngest kids that their brains are not ready to learn. So the Compassionate Schools Project is about preparing those brains so that they can be more receptive to learning and certainly have a more calm classroom environment at the same time. So it's a, thank you. So in closing, I just want to congratulate you all. I'm really thrilled again to see the growth in this program and to see you all celebrated today and tonight and hopefully every day as just tremendous citizens and leaders here in our community. So well done. Congratulations.
Greg, thank you very much. A great message. We certainly appreciate the partnership and support, and we are in this as a community. And so your leadership has been very inspirational in making it all come together and making it happen. You know, an event like this doesn't come together without a lot of work by a number of people, and I want to recognize my associate at Hilliard Lyons, Sandy Livers, for her efforts, and also want to recognize Kristen Wingfield from JCPS. So how about a round of applause for both of them? You'll notice the very creative centerpieces, and Sandy's sister did those, and so would really like for those to go home with you and somehow maybe make their way to a desk within a classroom at JCPS. So let's use that as a priority, but please take those with you. Now it's time to move on to the actual recognition part of the program, which is the fun part. We've got some great videos and some great acknowledgments for the winners. And it's my pleasure to introduce sort of our MC for that part of the program, and that is Sam Corbett. Sam is the new Executive Director of the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation. And Sam's been on the job for all of about 2.5 months now. But Sam comes with great experience, a former school board member, a former board chair of the Pritchard Committee, and actually a former board chair of the Public Education Foundation Board. So Sam was actually doing this job before he had it. And it's great to have him. And if I had any second thoughts about Sam, tonight he shows up in a tux, and I said, "You're the right guy for the job." So he's ready to take it from here. So Sam Corbett, great to have you.
So the invitation comes in the mail. It says you've been invited to the 2015 Hilliard Lyons Excellence Awards program in recognition of outstanding teaching performance. Well, before I became the executive director of the foundation and did some other work previously at the University of Louisville College of Education and Human Development, I spent 41 years in a family business. My grandfather was Sam Myers. And so I grew up in a home where if you got invited to a celebration, it was at the Young Center, it was after 6 o'clock in the evening, and it was in effect the Academy Awards of teacher recognition. You put your tuxedo on. So I have the vantage point. I'm scanning the room. You ladies look wonderful. You guys, you're underdressed. Okay. So now that we got the dress code established for next year, now I'm going to take a minute to do a couple things, and then we're going to have a lot of fun and recognize the outstanding teachers and principals and PLCs and other folks who are going to be honored tonight. But I've got to take a minute and recognize Jim Allen. Not only is Jim the CEO of Hilliard Lyons and the, I think, still board chair of the Fund for the Arts and the former board chair of the Y and numerous other civic organizations, this event was his idea. This is his baby. He said 3 years ago to those of us on the foundation board and Dr. Hargens and other people, we need to celebrate the great things that are happening in our schools, and what better than to recognize teachers. So I want to give Jim another round of applause. Jim is the CEO, and he's just really the pretty face of Hilliard Lyons. Where's Sandy? Where's Sandy? Now, stand up. I'm not going to let you off the hook. Sandy works with Jim. Sandy tells Jim what to do. And without Sandy's hard work and Debbie and the other folks at Hilliard Lyons, none of this would have happened tonight. So I really want to thank you. One last thing. Jim's the board chair of the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation. He's one of 23 board members of the foundation. They are my bosses. So if you're a foundation board member, stand up just a minute for me, please. And just remain standing, just a minute. All foundation board members, come on, don't be shy. Now, Henry, stay standing. All right, now look at these good-looking people. At the end of the night, say to them, that guy you hired as the executive director, he's doing a great job. I don't remember his name, but he's really good. Okay, now here's the important part. Let's start our recognition. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you the ground rules. When I announce the winner, individually or the team, you have to applaud and be enthusiastic. Now, you high school people, you can appreciate this. I did a lot of graduations when I was on the school board. And we know sometimes family members and friends can get a little out of control. So we don't want that kind of scene, and we don't want that kind of celebration. But I want enthusiasm when these people come up on stage because they worked hard and really deserve this honor. We're going to start out with the professional learning communities, or the PLCs. Now, unless you're in education, you probably have no clue what a PLC is. But we've got our first video tonight that's going to tell you a little bit about PLCs and how important they are in our schools.
A PLC is a professional learning community.
If a school is a PLC school, everything is shared. And the students are not just one teacher's students, but every teacher's students.
It means teachers come together to try to work on different aspects of the educational system. We'll share strategies, we'll share ideas and tips, and then we'll analyze our results. We'll look at our data to see where we can improve our instruction.
We look at the data that we have and what it tells us about our students, and we do our best to put our egos behind us and figure out how we can teach our students what they might be missing, or how we can enrich the students who've clearly already mastered what we're teaching in the classroom.
You know, what you see day to day in the building is you just see a real collaborative culture that's focused on meeting students' needs. And you know, there's no single person, there's no individual that can meet the needs of all his or her students in the classroom. But all of us together as educators, we have a chance of meeting the needs of every student in the building.
With professional learning communities, you're meeting often. You look forward to getting together, to share ideas, to even reflect on things that don't work. And that collaboration becomes natural. And who benefits are our kids.
PLCs allow us to work with each other so that hopefully we can get the right strategies in place to make sure kids are reaching their highest potential.
Once you start the PLC cycle, you wonder how you ever survived without professional learning communities.
So here's the first PLC that we're going to recognize tonight, representing Foster Traditional Academy's third grade. And the team includes Hannah Danziger, Margot McCallum, Alicia O'Connor, and Amber Wise. Nominator Robert Gunn, principal of Foster Academy, states this PLC, now get this, you can follow this, good luck, has consistently proven that quality instruction from a group of teachers that truly embody a growth mindset and work collaboratively to positively impact student achievement are tools that allow even students deemed, quote, at risk to achieve at the highest level. In English, that means they're really good teachers and they work together. So let's congratulate our first winner. Good-looking group. Thank you all very much. Congratulations. Oh, by the way, each team, each winner, or each individual principal, or each individual teacher receives $1,000 that they can use in their classroom or in their school. A lot of that money provided by our friends at Hilliard Lyons, other funding provided by individual sponsors you'll hear about a little bit later. So here's our second award-winning PLC team, in this case from the Academy at Shawnee. And this group includes Chase Austin, Amber Hoskins, Kiriana Kashmar, Connor Lowe, April Moore, and Paul White. They've been recognized for consistently developing new strategies, here comes another one, for cross-curricular integration of core content and aerospace engineering to increase student passion and achievement. Woo, that sounds pretty good. They were nominated by Dr. Houston Barber, the principal at the Academy at Shawnee. Let's congratulate this group. can't speak for the mayor. We both went to the same college. He's a lot smarter than I am. I have no idea what some of these things mean. Maybe he can explain a little bit later. Here's our third group of winners, which includes Jason Barragari, Diane Batts, Charles Bunton, Casey Stemley, Whitney Hodge, Sarah Lennon, and LaRonda Matthews? Thank you. Of Frost Middle School. This literacy PLC was nominated by Principal Faith Stroud for their work in creating a system of structures that made literacy a focus in the building, including implementation of a school-wide literacy intervention period, which instilled a passion for reading into Frost scholars. Let's congratulate this group of work. We have a little competitive photography thing going on. Our next award-winning PLC, in this case nominated by Principal Brad Weston. This includes teachers Mike Billingsley and Nick Clone from Fairdale High School's Exploring Civics PLC. They were selected as Hilliard Lyons Excellence Award winners for the use of data-driven systems to implement a rigorous curriculum that allowed for quick feedback regarding achievement of learning targets and a willingness to continually improve the process. Whew. Let's congratulate Nick and Mike. And our final PLC that we want to recognize tonight is from Wagner High School. And this award-winning group includes Jennifer Powell, Jason Veltman, and Brent Ortman of the Math PLC. Their accomplishments include development of a model on implementing a standards-based grading system in the math department that will help new and experienced teachers alike improve student achievement. This system created a more than 10-point gain in proficient and distinguished students compared to last year. And they were nominated by their principal, Katie Ziles. Congratulations. That concludes the recognition for our PLCs. Now we want to recognize outstanding principals. My recollection of the principal was the one time in grade school I got called to the principal's office, and we don't need to talk about that. But we know, I can tell you one of the things that struck me when I first got involved in public education as a school board member is even in these joint high schools, what an impact the building leader, the principal, can have on that building, on that staff, and every child in the building. So clearly, just like in business, the leader, the principal, sets the tone, builds the culture, and creates the winning environment within that building. Before we recognize our first winner, I want to mention a program that started actually in 2005. And this was kind of the predecessor maybe for these teacher and principal recognition programs. This was the Russell Garth Award. Again, it started in 2005 by then Superintendent Steve Dashner, and this was started to recognize and honor Mr. Russell Garth, who was the longtime principal of Atherton High School. He served as principal from 1955 to 1970. His family, including his sons Rusty and Dale, established this partnership with JCPS, and for every year since then, they have recognized an outstanding principal. And again, that kind of set the stage and maybe was one of the catalysts for Jim creating this program that we're here for tonight. So we want to thank the Garth family. We want to thank Rusty and Dale for their support these many years and assure them that their efforts are continuing on now as part of the Hilliard Lyons Excellence Awards. So our first principal we're going to recognize tonight, that's Deborah Rivera of Field Elementary. Nominator teacher Sarah Reed shared that Ms. Rivera has been unreservedly instrumental in implementing innovative change and supporting her staff to do the same. She continued to say that Ms. Rivera helped her staff recommit that their job as teachers is not simply to teach, but to build a foundation so our students can achieve. Let's congratulate Ms. Rivera. Our second principal we're honoring tonight is Mary Hilliard from Young Elementary. Mary was nominated by Sabrina Bosco, and in her nomination form, she pointed out a couple things that really separated Mary from maybe other principals, and certainly caught the attention of the selection committee. She was very instrumental at Young at introducing the IB, the International Baccalaureate program, into their school. And she was able to take their school, along with her team and her parents, at the state level, from the 14th percentile to the 67th percentile. Folks, that's a big deal. Congratulations. Our third principal award winner the committee was impressed by the nominators Missy Calloway and Lynn Lewis's testimony about this next recipient's ability to plan for the future needs of his students and his deep commitment to establishing programs that support the social, emotional needs of his students. As the mayor mentioned earlier, that's a critical piece. Principal William Allen of Butler High School lives out the JCPS core value that our students are cared for and treated as if they were their own. Join me in congratulating William Allen. Our next award winner, the nominator Amy Dennis. Where is Amy? Where is nominator Amy? Now there's nominator Amy Dennis, who's one of the area superintendents, and I'm only picking on Amy because I love Amy and know her really well. But I want to recognize all the nominators who are in the room. If you took the time and the effort to go through the process, stand up so we can thank you. In her nomination, Amy noted that our next recipient's laser focus on Iroquois' mission statement of building hope for each child by providing pathways to success at the next level. And that's Principal Chris Perkins from Iroquois High School. A year ago, my original Everyone Reads student, who I started with in the 2nd grade, graduated from Iroquois High School in Mr. Perkins' class of 2014. And I'm going to brag on her because she just finished her first year as a freshman at UK. And then our final principal that we're recognizing tonight is Tom Knable, principal of Churchill Park School. Tom was selected for his work on improving communications with parents and caregivers and engaging business and community groups in the success of Churchill Park students. Join me in congratulating Principal Knable. Now for our teacher recognitions. Now we all have, us grown-ups, all have recollections, fond memories of 1, 2, maybe more teachers than that. People that had an impact in our life. Another caring adult, maybe our parents, grandparents, other family members, but there was that caring adult in the role of a teacher who made a significant difference in our life. So these are really special people that we want to recognize tonight. And let's look at our video where we talk about teachers.